Greetings, fiction fans. Today's subject is aliens and fairies, how to make believable non-human races. Because aliens are out of this world, why would you include non-human races in your story? Perhaps they have a role that they are playing. What does that role say about the main character or the main character's society? Perhaps they have different values. What do those values say about the main character or the main character's society? What is the alien race's story arc? How does that relate to and run parallel to the main character's story arc? How do they develop as a society over time? Aliens and fairies should be alien. They may have a different chemistry. Do they breathe oxygen? Perhaps they breathe methane. Perhaps they breathe magic. They may have a different biology. They may view different things as food. If they have big ears, then perhaps they play with those ears when they're frustrated or thinking. Perhaps they enjoy to eat their food live. Ew. Did you know you can't bake a fairy? You have to put a gnome on the range. Perhaps they have different sorts of procreation. Do they make little fairies the same way they make little humans? Whatever the case, your race should not be humans in a rubber costume. If they have heightened senses, such as smell or hearing, that's probably going to change how they interact with the world around them. Your alien race is going to have its own set of mannerisms and language. What are those mannerisms? How does their biology fit into that? What is their language? Is it more like English, or perhaps more like Spanish or Chinese? Your alien race is going to have its own psychology and its own society. Your main character probably has a different psychology and a different society. What happens when those two societies come in contact with each other? How are they different? Perhaps the alien race has a different view of beauty. Throughout human history, the definition of beauty has changed. What was considered beautiful in the 1500s is not what's on magazine covers today. Why should you never give gold to a sick fairy? Because it's probably a leprechaun. Your race has its own history. There have been wars and tragic events that define our culture. What is your alien race's tragic event or war that defined who they are? How have those tragic events shaped that alien society? If there are scarce resources, how has that affected the alien civilization or the fairy civilization? What do your aliens prefer to drink? Is it gravity? Tools. Do your aliens have hands and feet? If they have tentacles, they're probably not going to use the hammer the same way a human would. If your fairies have magic, do they have tools at all? Or perhaps the magic is their tools. If you mix the two and have a wizard on a spaceship, is it a flying sorcerer? Related to tools, you have weapons. If you have a flying race, chances are they're going to be dropping things on people or using missile weapons. If you have an underwater race, chances are they use melee weapons or have some sort of torpedo weapon that they favor. What is ET short for? Because he has tiny legs. Perhaps your aliens have tiny legs too. And again, we come back to resources. What sort of things are available to this race that they're going to be making their tools and weapons out of? Math and physics. If the biology of your race is that they have 8 fingers, then their math system is going to be base 8 as well. If they have an extra sensory perception that allows them to see into other dimensions, how does that affect their view of physics? And how does that affect their society in general? What is a light year to this alien race? Is it a regular year with fewer calories? In summary, races are a product of their environment. They're not a human in a rubber suit. They're going to have tools and weapons that are specific to that particular race. I hope you've enjoyed Aliens and Fairies, How to Write Believable Non-Human Races. Have fun, fiction fans! Perhaps they have a different role than... And of course, there's always the character arcs. What is that particular race? Anyway, I hope that you've enjoyed this. If you have an underwater race, chances are they're going to be using... How to write blue... I hope you've enjoyed